have multiple tools in your tool belt. I recommend 4. The overarching system I use is called PACE. You're welcome to borrow it from me. Can't steal it, but you can borrow it. You got to give it back at some point. PACE. Practical. You need a set of practical persuasion tools. You need a set of AA, which stands for action. You need S. Okay, these are different parts of your personality, by the way, you bring out. S, and then E is emotional. So I have a sales full-on 4-month training program. It might be closed when you see this, but you can go to tailopez.com/salesvideo, and I've got a video training and stuff. tailopez.com/salesvideo, or we'll put the link below or whatever. So what I train my salespeople and what I've trained myself with this PACE system, I give you the high level one because I'm not going to sit here and do a 4-month video all in one shoot. I need to go to bed soon. P, remember, sales principle strategy number 1 in the new science is understanding that you gotta get in people's heads in a way that they listen and hear. Not just one. Remember, it means hearing means they take action. Like they actually, oh, you heard me, you did something about it. So some people you need to bring out your practical side. Practical people that you're trying to talk to, you're trying to persuade, they need numbers, they need logic, they need concrete step by step. So if I'm selling to a P, so if I'm adaptable, we'll talk about this later, that you have to learn how to read people, but the sales thing is a big conversation. I'm gonna get as much as I can in here. But when you read a person and you discover and establish that they're a P, they're a practical type, that's their dominant energy, then I'm going to come in with a lot of logic and numbers. I'm going to be like, listen, the reason you want to buy this from me is because it's got 17 features and my competitor only has 3. Because, it's 44% less expensive than the nearest competitor. Because you're going to get these 18 different blankety blank widgets. So when you sell to practical people, you sell very down to earth. I speak slower. Practical people don't really like to be rushed. They need time to compute and logically process the numbers. So that's P. Then you have the A's. A stands for action. This is like the guy that I told Justin to yell at. Action, they're ready to go. You can be a little more aggressive with them. You can be a little more mean. They're kind of like, gung-ho. If you've seen the movie Wolf of Wall Street, the scene where Matt McConaughey's like doing like the whole like doing that, that's kind of an A person who's like revving themselves up. So when I'm speaking to an A, I gotta speak in their language. So I adapt and I bring out the A side of my personality. By the way, you have all 4 of these personality types. You don't have to fake it. You just have to be good at bringing out. That's what Bruce Lee meant by water. The water isn't faking it to change forms. It's just expressing its true essence in a different form. But it's all genuine. You don't see water. I mean, if I take this water and I pour it in a pan and it goes wide, I don't go, oh, that water is manipulating the situation and not showing its true self. No, water takes the shape of the vessel. So I'm not asking you, or when I do sales, I'm not asking you or my salespeople to be disingenuous, because we've all been around a salesperson who's like cheesy and fake. That doesn't work. But there's a part of me that's P, practical. So when I speak to a P person, I bring out that practical side of me that likes to know what's going on in a nice, orderly fashion, numbers way. There's a part of me that's A. So when I speak to an A, I'm like, yo, get with the program. This is the best thing out there. Come on, you're gonna procrastinate all day. I'm a little more aggressive, not too aggressive, but my words are a little more aggressive. Okay? Then you have an S. An S is social. S's are jolly people. In general, an S is jolly, nice. They're more concerned about building a relationship with you than buying from you. In fact, the biggest mistake you make with an S is trying to be a P. You get all the numbers and why you should buy from us. They really just want to play golf with you. They really just want to have a drink with you. They probably would have bought from you. They probably would have been persuaded. But they need to like you as a friend. The way their brain works and the deep subconscious wiring of their mind that they don't even understand, that there's a psychometric trait. By the way, if you're wondering, is there science to the PACE system? Absolutely. The most recognized by the academic world accurate test. Used to be the big five. It used to be Myers-Briggs a long time ago. It's kind of the Jungian one. That's kind of been discredited. I've gone through the Myers-Briggs. It's okay. The retest accuracy is relatively low. Then they developed something called the Big Five, which was considered the standard way of understanding people's personalities. In 2000, 2001, it was updated by a scientist. I think he's out of Canada. I forget his name right now, but he developed something called the Hexaco score. It's a great book he written about it called The H Factor of Personality. I recommend it for everybody, especially if you want to get good at sales, reading people, social life, all this stuff. So Hexaco score. So my PACE system is roughly based off the combination of the Big Five and the Hexaco. So for example, in Hexaco, you have honesty, emotionality, extroversion, agreeableness, conscientiousness, and openness to new experience. And then those divide into subfacets. So you have 25 subfacets. So you have sincerity, you have greed, avoidance, modesty, fairness. Those are your H's. Your E's are the emotionality. You have fearfulness, anxiety, sentimentality, and dependence. And then you have for the X, you have extroversion. I'm not going to go through all these, but extroversion are things like social boldness, things like social self-esteem. They have one that is what's it called? It's like your energy level. I forget the name right now. I'll remember in a second. But the PACE system is more built around the extroversion, but also it's built around the facets like conscientiousness. So practical, what I'm calling P, I'm giving you like, this is like, I try to live my life like half street smarts, half book smarts. My grandma is more from like a book smart family. My grandma went to Yale. My grandpa, like, they went to Yale. That's where they met. My dad's from the streets of Harlem. So all the stuff that I teach is kind of like my life experience, what I inherited, maybe, which is half and half. So for those of you who are more P's, who might be doubting, does Ty know what he's talking about? Is he just making up a PACE system? No, I can talk to you about this for a long time. I tested 300,000 people last year myself, more than any psychologist in history. So or more than any psychologist last year I did, because I got the internet. I can reach a lot of people. Most psychologists do tests on like 80 college students. I think I actually did 250,000, not 300,000. But so this PACE thing is built around the Hexaco factors of conscientiousness. The A, the action, is basically around the social boldness and things like that. There's other ones like extroversion, narcissism, somewhat A, somewhat. But S is built around the agreeableness factors in Hexaco. So S is a social person. They're like, these are people that have high agreeableness, okay? Agreeableness is composed of things like flexibility, forgiveness, so like low stubbornness. Like a social person in the way I understand it and use in sales, it's kind of like that person that's just like, yo, you want to go have a drink? They're like, yeah. And they come off a little flaky. And when you do sales, they're the ones who don't want to make you feel bad. So say, yeah, I'll buy from you. And then they kind of stop answering your texts. That's how you know you're dealing with an S, because they're more about the social life. So they didn't want to. An A will be blunt with you. A P will be real blunt with you. They'll go, I don't want this. I calculated my pros and cons Excel spreadsheet, and this does not work for me. Okay, and then lastly, you have E's for that's emotional, and that, of course, correlates with the Hexaco emotionality, which is anxiety. It's primarily one we can use as anxiety. We live in a very anxious culture, society. Anxiety is probably at an all-time high because we have urban living. That's one. We have low social dependence, familial dependence. I used to live with the Amish for 2 years. All the Amish live near their parents. It lowers your anxiety to be around people you know. We now migrate to places that we don't know anybody. Our social circle's disrupted and so on. We also live in a much more complex society with a lot of the natural, quote unquote, social mores and constructs pulled out from under our feet. Things like, for example, the Amish are like how people used to be. As you grew old, You didn't go in a nursing home. Your kids took care of you. Well, that's gone in modern society. Now you grow old, they dump you in a retirement home. That happens all the time. And so, and when you're young, used to be, your dad taught you, your mom taught you, your neighbor had a little apprenticeship, you learned a career, you had a few choices. Now it's like, go to college, get 1.2 trillion in college debt. That's the current US debt. And then we throw you into the world with a million options. You haven't really been trained for it. And now you have debt and anxiety goes up. So emotional people, I think, are on the rise. And you have to deal with them very specifically, because the E-type people are, how do I say, they're very sensitive. They're relatively thin-skinned. They're a little flighty. You can lose the deal if you're trying to sell to them, because they like, you trigger their anxiety. Don't trigger their anxiety.